Welcome to another edition of Bill's Guide, Buying and Selling Used Cars, where there's no script, just straight talk about buying and selling used cars. Last time we were together, we inspected this 1994 Ford F-150 4x4. We did the exterior and we went under the truck. This time, we're going to move on to the second section of our inspection, which is the interior and the engine compartment. So join me and let's get started. As we get started today, please take a moment and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Really would appreciate that very much. You can check out my book and learn about everything that's within the book at billrosenbooks.com. One of the things you're going to find there is under resources, I have several free downloadable worksheets. This one is a 2-page vehicle inspection worksheet. It's yours for free, nothing to buy. With that then, let's get to today's time together. So let's take a look on the inside of the truck. All right, I'm going to look at the door panel first of all. Looks nice. I see that there's a crack in this molding right here. These pieces are all available in aftermarket or even in new old stock that's available from Ford, I imagine. Looks like the rubber here has been replaced. This is nice, but it's kind of coming up here. Like something is not quite seating properly. Okay. This is supposed to lock right here. See that little button? Something is, it's old, it's maybe grease is jammed up. And so that's not good because that's a security feature, but okay. We take a look inside the truck. We look at the headliner. Come on in and take a look at the headliner. Headliner looks brand new. That is nice. When you are inspecting a car or truck, there's something important to keep in mind. Are you the end user or are you passing it on to the next person? Are you flipping it? If you're keeping it long term, there's a different level of inspection. If you're buying it to sell it, there's a different mindset. I'll tell you what I mean. If you're buying it and you're planning to sell it, you're not trying to determine whether you like it, whether you feel good in it, whether this truck is me, this truck is not me. I like the color, don't like the color. I don't like how it feels. I'm too tall, I'm too short for the way the seats work or how high the roof line is. Those things aren't important if you're selling it. What's important is the condition of the vehicle and whether somebody else will like it. Likewise, if you are keeping it for yourself, then it really is important. How do I feel in it? Am I comfortable? Does the seat work for me? Does the headrest work for me? Does the seat go back and forth because I'm 6'4" perhaps and I need a bigger vehicle? Those are the kind of things to keep in mind when you're flipping versus you're buying to keep long term. So with that said, let's take a look at what we see here. Okay, I'm looking at the dashboard. It's really beautiful. Looks like it has been replaced. This bezel, these kinds of things are of course very much available online. Somebody's put in a phone holder here. Open you up. This opens. Like there's a light in there. That's good. All right, so let's start it up, or let's turn the key on. Important part here is what lights up. All right. I see the check engine light. I see the airbag light, the battery light. Okay. All right. I see there's 58,418 miles, which is great. Turn on the radio. It works. It's even got a tape here. Comes with a tape of the Beatles. What are you going to do with that? That's great. Some of you have never seen a cassette tape. You've heard of them, but there's one right there. You look at the dashboard, a very common feature in Ford F-Series vehicles of this era, as well as Broncos, because they're very, very similar. This dash pad right here is often, I mean often, cracked right here. I'll bet you right now there are people listening to this saying, yeah, I have one. These are often cracked right here. And you think, what do I do about that? Well, there are a couple of bolts here. You take this dash, the glove box out. You got to take the radio out. There's little bolts. This piece comes right off, and you put a new one on. They're kind of expensive. They're about $400. You might find a used one, but nevertheless, this one's in good shape. But it's really, really common that they're not in good shape. Mats look nice and new. Look underneath. That carpeting is beautiful. I'm sure it's been replaced. That is a nice clean, smells good. Let's take a look at this door right here. This door is in much better shape. Nothing broken here. This is just a little wiggly here. This piece of this weather stripping in here. Same thing. Look at this. Same thing as the other side. This button, I did push it, but it doesn't really lock. So someone could get a coat hanger or something and, you know, pop that back and it wouldn't be very secure. Okay. Door locks work. Let's take a look at the other side. Again, the carpeting looks great. That all looks good. What I want to do now is I want to check the electronics. When you test drive a car or truck, you really want to push every button and flip every switch. You don't want to be surprised. Sometimes someone will say to you, when you call them and talk, will say, everything works. And you go, okay, I'm glad to hear everything works. But there's an old saying, trust but verify. Trust but verify. You don't want to call a guy a liar, but you want to make sure that it's all accurate. I've had a lot of times where somebody would say to me, oh, I thought that worked. Huh. Well, so with that then, let's see how things work here. Let's try the windows. Window motor works great. Let's try the passenger side. That works great. Okay, turn signals. You're always going to want to check the turn signals. What you want to do at this point is when you're with the guy who's selling it, is you want him to do these things and then you walk around while they're happening. So turn signals, brake lights. If you look right at the back of the cab here, there is this cab light. Take a step on it. There it is. You can see that's working right there. There's the light. It seems to be working just fine. Okay, that works. But you want to make sure that the guy puts his foot on the brake, headlights work, flashers work, that all of those things work. You don't want to leave that to chance, okay? All right, with that then, let's take a look under the hood. So before we open the hood, a couple of quick things here. I always bring gloves. I mean, sometimes I bring 2 or 3 pairs. Engines are greasy. They just are. And, you know, you're going to be driving home, hopefully, you know, either in this or in your own car. You want to be clean. Bring light. You might be doing something like this at night. You might be doing something during the day. But something like this, you know, it's just, you can't go wrong having light. I often will bring safety glasses because I like my eyes. And sometimes things will fly up. It's not your car. You don't know the condition when you start the engine. I oftentimes will bring a wire brush because I want to see some numbers. There's something I can't see and I want to give it a scrape. One of the things that I bring that I find really helpful is a little telescopic mirror. And because let's say there's a leak someplace, and I can put this down there and I can look and I can see what's leaking. Pretty helpful, and these are all cheap. These are all very inexpensive things to have. So, and of course, the light we used last time when we went under the hood, under the engine, was this thing, and this thing is worth its weight in gold. You can see everything. If you look at the battery, I don't see a lot of corrosion around the battery terminals. I see that the battery looks like it was purchased 5/24, so that's, the battery's still only maybe less than a year and a half old. I'm looking to see if there's anything broken or falling apart. Feel this pulley right here? This idler pulley? Hear that? Now this is okay still, but it's going out. That's it. We might hear a little squeakiness when we start the engine. This serpentine belt, these should be changed every 50 to 60,000 miles. You never want one to break when you're on the road. It's really nice to replace them. They're not hard to replace. They're only $20, $25 to buy it. I actually always keep the old serpentine belt tucked someplace so that if it ever does break and I'm in the middle of nowhere, at least I can get home. Coming over here, I see there's a hose that's broken right here. See this hose? This is part of the HVAC, the ventilation. See this little actuator here? That's a door. It goes to that. One of these door vents probably doesn't work, or vents inside the car probably doesn't work because of this. But that's an easy fix. That's a simple thing. Keep looking around here. I see that right here. See the rust in here? I don't know if you can see that, but there's water has accumulated right in here over time and has rusted all the way along the edge of that. That's not, for me, a deal killer. That's pretty simple to take care of. There's lots of good rust products that'll take care of that. I look at hoses. Hoses look in good shape. They're still soft. You want them to be soft. When things get hard, that's when they get brittle. That's when they break. Coming over here now. I always take a look in the fuse box. There's the fuse box. There's a little spider that's been living in there. And on the inside of the door, there's kind of a diagram of what's what. And there's a couple of spots that have something missing. I don't know if those are supposed to be missing because there are, a lot of times there's options that this truck doesn't have, and there's a fuse for it. So without looking at this, you can't tell if something's missing or if it just was never there because it wasn't an option. Okay, I always look at fluids. So take a look here at, this is the brake fluid, and this is the brake booster, and this is the master cylinder. Right under here, sometimes you will see seepage right in here if there's a leaky seal in the master cylinder. This one's nice and dry. That's a good thing. I can see here that the fluid level is up to where it's supposed to be, just under max. But that's not good enough for me. I always want to stick my finger in here and see the condition and give it a little smell. Because what a lot of people don't know is that this is, of course, brake fluid, but brake fluid, these reservoirs take on water over time, condensation, and that is what destroys brake cylinders and calipers and cause things to get corroded and have to have seals replaced. And so it's really good to replace your brake fluid every 2 years, whether it needs it or not, because it needs it. Just kind of a word to the wise. When you look at fluids, you're really looking inside the heart of the engine. So I'm going to pull out the engine oil, and notice we haven't started the engine yet. We have not started the engine yet. And I often will tell people when I'm coming out to see a car, please don't pre-warm it up. Don't start the car. Let me show up because I want to touch it. A lot of times people will warm cars up because it starts easier. If it's a hard starter or if it runs funny when it's cold, they don't want you to know that. And so they will start them up, warm them up, so when you show up, boom, it starts. And that's kind of like how you feel when you get out of bed in the morning. Maybe you're a little slower. Well, I want the car to feel like it's, 18 years old and not 108 years old. Okay, so I put it back in there. I'm going to take a look now. The level is right where it's supposed to be. And this may seem funny, but I'm going to smell it. I'm going to feel it. And the color is good. It smells like oil. What you don't want is you don't want water, and you don't want, and water and oil mixed together becomes what we call chocolate milk. That's the color it looks. If you ever come to look at a car and you pull the engine oil stick out and you find chocolate milk on the dipstick, unless you're a super experienced mechanic, it's time to turn and walk away. That means there's something wrong inside the engine when you got oil and water or coolant mixing together. Also, what I always do is I pull open the where you put the oil in, and I want to look at that too. And I stick my finger down here, being careful because sometimes there are sharp edges in here when it was milled. But I'm looking around, I'm trying to feel and see what I see there. Again, I'm looking for chocolate milk, I'm looking for sludge. And also inside these caps sometimes, if there's been something called blow-by, and that's where there's engine gases that are passing through the cylinder walls, and they come up into the through the combustion chamber into the valve train up here. You'll see some of the signs of that right here, and I'm not seeing anything. So either the person cleaned it or it's in really good shape. But we'll know in a little bit because we're going to start it in a couple of minutes. Okay, let's work our way up. Let's take a look at the transmission fluid. Now on these trucks, they're not easy to get to. Take a look down. You see this? There it is, right there. It's kind of buried. If you don't know it's there, it's pretty hard to find. So I'm gonna wipe it off first. I always wipe them off and then reinsert. And you can't really get a reading on this unless the vehicle's running. But this is my way of just seeing what does it look like before I start it. It should be pink. And that's nice and pink. There should be no feel of anything, no kind of frictiony, kind of sandy feeling in there. It should be nice and smooth. It smells like it's supposed to smell. So you probably know this, but I'll say it anyway. Never open a hot radiator cap. These things are pressurized, and when they get hot, you open this up, you're going to know you opened it up because you're going to have a geyser of water in your face and scalding you, and you don't want that. So what you always want to do is find the reservoir that says radiator coolant only or coolant only, and you can look in there. I'm smelling it. The level is just where it's supposed to be, and it smells like pure coolant or a 50-50 mixture of coolant. In other words, there's not water in it. And that's something you want to avoid. I'm sorry, there's no oil in it. You want to have coolant only and not a mixture of oil. Now, if the engine has not been started and it's cool, and you know it's cool because you can put your hand on it and it's cool to the touch. I don't mean warm to the touch, I mean cool to the touch, and this feels cool, then you can open this up. And so I know when the engine's cool, so I'm opening it up. There it is. It looks great. Looks like somebody has replaced the coolant not that long ago. Close it up. Washer fluid. It's about half full. Looks okay. All right, with that then, what I'd like to do is to show you something that I always do, and that is called a cold startup. And that means that I will put my hand on the engine, and I mean like on the engine or even an exhaust manifold, to know that this is cool. And this is cool. You'll know it's cool or hot because you'll be screaming if it's hot. Okay, let's start it up and see what happens. Okay. All right, so the airbag light is out. The start engine light was on and is out now. It's got a fuel, 2 tanks. Just switch the tank. It's going now to the front tank. I'm looking here, I see the temperature is cool. see the amperage is fine. All right. Air conditioning, I heard the compressor kick on. All right, let's take a look at the engine now. All right, so we're in the engine compartment, obviously. The engine's running. It's pretty quiet. It seems pretty okay to me. But what I'm gonna do is I wanna make sure there's oil pressure, so what I'm gonna do over here is I'm gonna pull this stick out, and if there's good oil pressure, that means that the oil is gonna be above the minimum line, which it is. It's way up here. It means the oil is pumping and it's pumped up. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open this oil filler lid again, and I'm going to see if there's any smoke or gases coming out. Remember we talked about something called blow-by. Do you see this? There's nothing coming out. That's a sign of a very healthy engine. If you hear pop, 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 and you see stuff fizzing out of here, that's a bad sign. All those vapors, again, means that there are gases from the combustion chamber passing through the cylinder walls and coming up, and that's a really bad thing. One more thing I want to check and then we'll be done, and that is the transmission fluid. Now we're going to check the transmission fluid. Nice and pink. Smells great. That tells me that I'm not feeling kind of grittiness. The color is right and the smell is right. Nothing burned. So with that then, I think that we're done with our check of the engine. And the next step for next time is going to be a test drive. And we'll talk about all the things we checked for that. So what you might want to do between now and next time is go to my website and download the worksheet, and you can see ahead of time the things I'm going to be looking for on our test drive. With that then, this is Bill Rosen with Bill's Guide, Buying and Selling Used Cars. Thanks for being here today. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Go to my website and see what I've got. Lots of free materials for you. If you buy my book and you like it, leave me a positive review on Amazon. If you buy my book and don't like it, forget I said anything. With that then, until next time, this is Bill Rosen with Bill's Guide, Buying and Selling Used Cars. See you next time.